Hey there, everybody. I'm going to just do a quick little video doing a couple of these problems from IXL. This is for 6th grade. The skill is Z11, solving one-step multiplication and division equations with decimals, fractions, and whole numbers. So I want to remind you that the whole concept of inverse operations is still the same on these problems, even though we're not working with whole numbers. So this first problem right here, and I'm going to stress to you also to make sure you're doing your work on paper and using the T-charts that I showed you, that method. So this one right here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the problem. 4 times, because remember that dot means times, 1.7 equals K. So to make my T-chart, I put a line across the top and a line through the equal sign. So it looks like a big capital T, that blue line there. And now the thing that I notice here is that this variable is over on the right-hand side all by itself. Anytime that the variable is by itself inside of a T-chart, it means you do not need to do inverse operations. You can just do the work that you see over here, 4 times 1.7. So if we do 1.7 times 4, we would get 28. So we carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. And I need 1 decimal place value in my answer. So 6.8 would be the answer. Okay, and it tells me I'm brilliant, which I love to hear. Okay, so again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy down the equation. So U divided by 1 equals 4.2. I make my T-chart. I see that this is division, and I see that the variable is not by itself. So since the variable is part of the operation that's happening, this tells me I have to do the inverse operation to solve this. So the inverse operation of dividing by 1 is multiplying by 1. So I do that to both sides. The reason why I do it over here is to cancel out the number. So that way I only have the variable by itself again. And over here I do the work. 4.2 times 1 is 4.2 because anything times 1 stays the same. So we put 4.2 into the answer. Whoops, I typed 5 by accident. And it tells me I'm terrific. Again, something I love to hear. I'm going to quickly just go through this one because we already did a problem like this. If I do my T-chart, I see that S is all by itself, so no inverse operation, just do the work. And 2 times 0.1 is 0.2. Okay. For this one, again, first thing I'm going to do, copy down my equation. But when it comes to fractions, the work is easier to do side to side. So after I write down the 4/5 here, I'm going to leave a little space between the 4/5 and the equal sign because I want room to do some work in there. And I'm going to put 5/6 right here. So again, I make my T-chart, line and then line through the equal sign or close to the equal sign. I didn't mean to, meant to go through it. And then I look, oh, look, the variable is not by itself. It's part of the operations. So that tells me I have to do inverse operation. And the inverse operation of dividing, meaning the opposite of dividing, is multiplying. So I am going to multiply the two numbers in the problem. So 5/6 times 4/5. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. times 4/5. Now, over on the left-hand side, the whole point of this is just so I can cancel these out and leaving me with h by itself. And then over here, I have to do the actual multiplication. Now, there's two ways of doing this. I can do 5 times 4 is 20, 6 times 5 is 30, and then reduce them by dividing by 10. Or I can say, hey, look, this 5 and that 5 are diagonal from each other, and they match, so they cancel out. Because that's like doing times 5 and divided by 5, so they cancel each other out. So these become 1s, and I'm left with 1 times 4 and 6 times 1. But I also recognize that this can be reduced also. Both of these numbers can be divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my final answer is 2/3. So I'm going to type that in here, 2/3. And it says that I'm excellent. I love to hear that. Okay, this is the last one we're going to do. Again, first step as always, I'm going to write down the equation. After I write 5/8, so I'm going to leave a little space before I put the times R, because I want some room to put work in here, equals 5. So again, make a T-chart through the equal sign. I don't know why it keeps waving like that. And I look, oh, the R is part of the operation, times R. It's not by itself. There's a 5/8 over here. So I know I need to do inverse operation. And the inverse operation of multiplying, which means the opposite of multiplying, is dividing. So I'm going to divide the two numbers in the problem, which means I'm going to divide 5 by 5/8. And it means I'm going to do the same thing over here, divide by 5/8. Again, the reason why I do it on the left-hand side here is because I'm just trying to cancel these out. And that leaves me with R equals. But over here, I have to remember that this is dividing with a fraction. So first of all, I need to put this over 1, because all whole numbers can go over 1 to turn them into fraction form, rational form. And then I have to remember the process of keep, flip, change, or KFC, which means I'm going to keep the first fraction the way it is, 5/1, which came from my whole number. I'm going to change to multiplication, and I'm going to flip, which means find the reciprocal of the second fraction in the problem. So instead of divided by 5/8, I'm doing times 8/5. Again, I can do 5 times 8 is 40, 1 times 5 is 5, and get 40/5. But I think that's doing more work than you have to, because then you need to reduce it. I see that this 5 and that 5 match, so I cross them out and make them into 1s. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1, so this would be 8/1, but 8/1 is the same thing as saying 8. So, because remember, if I do 5 times 8 and then divide it by 5, 5 multiply by 5, divide by 5, cancel each other out. That's why I'm allowed to cross these out and make them 1s. So my answer is going to be 8, and we'll hit the submit button, and there we go. We have solved that problem. So I hope this helped you out. Please rewind, rewatch any parts that you need to help you out. And if you have any questions, please email me or bring them to class tomorrow, and I'll try to help you out. Okay?